to the risk neutral trading Globex stream. Checking everything's up here. This is as I said, the Globex version of the risk neutral trading stream. We just closed the RTH session at 1500. And welcome to the night before the 4th of July holiday 2026. It is 1700 Central Standard Time. And this is my virtual trading journal. The way this works is very simple. Everything that I see on my monitors are captured in the video, and my voiceover here provides insight as to what I was thinking at the moment. So it makes a complete, detailed, live journal recording, and it's streamed live. All trades are taken live, real time, never replay or video on the bookmap side. And I do all of my forward and back testing for strategy development on bookmap, or IRT, sorry. I don't take any trades which are not statistically verified by me with the proper, statistical homework involved to determine that they have a positive expectancy and specific rules, and that's the story. So, having said all of that, I am not intending, nor do I intend or imply, trade or financial advice. I'm not licensed to do that, and there is a disclaimer in the description here. But it's my virtual trading journal, so I do trade live. I mean, how stupid would that be to have a trading journal and not have trades? Doesn't make a lot of sense, I guess, does it? So there we are. You can lose a lot more money than you started with, and the stream is delayed. So again, it's my virtual trading journal. The idea is to look over my shoulder, provide accountability, transparency, and collaborative effort to develop a consistently profitable, successful trading business for me and whoever else comes by. So this Globex stream comes out of my commitment to never take a trade off of the stream. That means that if I want to explore this time frame and see if there's some potential for positive trades here, then I have to be doing this stream, and I will do so until I decided that I'm not interested to trade Globex, and then I won't. But as long as I might take a trade in Globex, this will be a live stream, and it's the same for the RTH session. That's why the RTH stream, which lasts from 8 o'clock in the morning Central Standard Time until 1500 in the afternoon, that's 7 hours. Same exact reason. All right, let's see where we are now. So here we are with bookmap. La-da-dee-da-da-dee-da. Globex has just opened at 1700. Slap my indicator on here, Mr. Blue Boy. Get him awake and on the job. On the job. There we go. I put this blue vertical line on the first print of each session. So as the session progresses, I can glance over here to the left, and when I see the blue boy, I know that's the start, and this is always the current inside market. In other words, that's the complete session, no question about it so far. That's how it works. I also chart with IRT, which is over here. These are the micros. Micro ES, NQ, my higher time frame micro composite chart, and the market profile. I have a similar set of tabs for the minis. So we've just concluded We've just concluded this RTH session. And here we are going into the Globex right there. The NQ, same story. Now this is the micro composite higher time frame chart, and it does not change from the first. Let me point out that in the header of all these windows, you can see the instrument, the periodicity, the chart type, and the session. So these are daily candlesticks for the RTH session. Each one of these is a full RTH trading session from 8:30 Central Standard Time until 1600 each day. Here we are. Here was the day that just concluded. Engulfing candle for the last 2 days. Didn't get anywhere. This, when price overlaps, I include them in the volume profile, micro composite volume profile here. So that generates a micro composite, a high volume and low volume nodes represented by the red and green lines. The values for those nodes are pushed to bookmap, as are the session prices. Let's look at the session prices here and bookmap. So here's my bookmap columns from right to left, micro composite. Now here was a gap. This was the gap open, which was filled today, obviously. So I'm going to change that one from the way I do these flags is when a value has been revisited or is no longer, when it's stale or no longer active, I change the text to black, and then I know I can remove it. These are the high and low volume nodes right here. This is something wrong, is what this is. Here we go. Yeah, I was going to say, wait a second, that's completely goofy. Here is the full session volume profile. Started at 1700, and just a minute ago that was covering the whole thing. I'm going, wait a minute, this is impossible. We've just started. So here's the delta and the volume profile for the RTH, which will reset tomorrow morning at 8:30. The high and low are the statistics, the column, and the open type, and the statistics for the associated price levels. These are the session prices. This is the full level 2 delta, or full level 2 book, resting liquidity for ask and bid. This is the most important column from the dome, as are the session prices. There's no indicator on my book map or my IRT. There are simply volume, price, statistics. That's it. This is the POC, which just marks the price at which the most contracts have traded so far in the session. So 75.28, we've traded about 200 contracts. It's 175 contracts. That's the most so far. The minute one of these lines, one of these prices trades more than 177, then the line will move there. This is the Globex VWAP. This is RTH and mid, and so there we are. And we need to get some more time under our belt down here. I'm thinking this could be a catastrophe, just like watching grass grow, kind of a stream. But you never know. And it was quite a day, no question about that. I only trade, as I said, vetted setup, which I have statistically proven to have a positive expectancy. Now, I do that forward and back testing here in Bookmap and with a data analysis tool called Edgeful. The way that works in IRT, not Bookmap. IRT is you build a trading system, every rule in the trading system that's required. The computer evaluates each of those rules over however the periodicity you set, in this case 30 seconds. It'll evaluate every one of these rules every 30 seconds. If they test positive, then it will have whatever that signal requires. This chart is just for visualization, but it's important to know that either back testing or forward testing the trades stay in the simulated environment here in IRT, because I'm obviously don't want to push something I'm just developing out to the real market. How stupid would that be? So there we are. This is the one that's I'm testing now, and I've got to make a change here right now. I've got to change this to the get these levels, these zones that I need for the this particular IB technique strategy to be pushed to Bookmap in case I want to take a trade here. Now, there they are going to come down there. So this is this is the beginning of the first session right now of the Globex. These are the zones, the high and the low, and the way the system works, I'll explain all of that as we go along. But again, no trades will be taken on this. What I'm doing this for right now is to push these high and low values and the zones to Bookmap so that I have the references that I want for trading. I guess all of this is working here. I don't even know. I better flip on my headset. There we are. Yeah, so here we go, and here they are. Orb high, orb low, and the 25, 50, 25. The percentages of the zones. They're just 25% of each of the range. They dynamically calculate based on the range, the width of the range, but they're just 25% increments. So kind of have to get cooking here now because we don't have that pre-market that I'm used to on the RTH session. So we're going to get right into the how we're going to lean on the data. And I always forget this. God damn. Okay. Now we're going to lean on or lean into how we filter and determine the data for database trading. Okay, maybe that'll work. I forget about the chapter markers from this afternoon one. So here's just quickly, here's the high and the low so far of this range. I'm a little bit puzzled as to how the high got there, but it shows correctly for the overnight high and low from Bookmap or from IRT. And the first thing that's important to recognize is that we put in the low first because we've now put in this high. So it's important which level is formed first when we get into the data analysis and the probabilities. All right, so the tool for doing all of this data stuff, or let me give you a little backstory, I guess. I'm not a code wizard. I'm an old cowboy from Montana, and that's the truth. So for me to do this was tough. Took a lot of work. And I've been able to adapt pieces of this for this particular strategy testing over here. But it takes me a lot of work and a lot of time. It's accurate, but my goal here is a consistently profitable trading business, not to be a code warrior. And I want to develop more strategies because having just one or just, a couple based on an initial, based on a price level like the initial balance high or the orb highs is not very efficient, right? So what I want to do, and here we're setting up now down here. What I want to do is have an equally accurate alternative method that's more expeditious to achieve the probabilities I want to make my trades without all this additional effort for coding. So what I am doing now is using this particular tool, which is called Edgeful, to do that. And let's see, this is also part of the testing to see how well this works. So the first thing we need to do here, we're on the initial balance. That's okay. They do have an orb indicators, but I found that the initial balance indicator works great for me. First of all, I can use it from one session, one session to the other easily. And it has a little more presentation and filtering capability that I like than the orb itself. And since I use a 1 hour orb, same as the initial balance, it's, falling off a log simple. So let's get down to the Globex, which is the session that we're in now. And we need to look at the proper days. Now that's retracement. Wait a minute. Let's get up here to weekdays. We need to make sure that we're looking at the right day, and we are looking at Friday because that's tomorrow. And this doesn't like that, does it? Very well. That's not good. Yeah, this is Thursday night, right? Yeah, okay. So the problem I have here is that doing this is not working properly for Friday. I've got to change that around. Let's just make sure of something. Yeah, okay. That's not good. What I need to do then is go to this one works okay for Asia. Wait a minute. This works all right for the 7 to 9, but not the one we're doing now. That's irritating. It's been working fine all week, and I was all happy with it. Well, let's see something here. It's got to do with crossing the clock, right? It's got to do with crossing the time zone. So let's see what Friday should be fine here. You see that? Because this is 7 a.m. in Asia and UTC 9. So I've got to keep going here, but what we will do here is, wait a second. Oops, I don't want to do that. I want to do the, god dang, get away. I do the clock. So it's 7:18 in Tokyo. That's what I thought. Well, that's all right then. This is fine. 7 to 9. Okay, so that works great. It's because 7 o'clock is fine for Tokyo. It's 9 o'clock that the market's open. Super. So we got it set for Friday. Everything's okay. And this is by weekday. What is this telling us? This says that on Fridays, with this zone, MES, 3 years. Well, let's not do that quite so much. Let's go back to a year. We have a 50% probability that we're going to have no breakout. 47% we're going to have a single break, and 1% will have a dual. So now it's about it's about a coin flip, right? Whether we break an opening range high or low. Not very encouraging. But the next thing I want to do here is set up this handy dandy tool, which is right here. And this is the correct orb for this session. Now we're going to shut off the IB orb because our dashboard up here, because we don't need that now. There we go. So we've got 7.5 points, or whatever that says. And here we are trading 7 o'clock or 1700. This will continue to form until 1800. It's the 1 hour orb. Okay. So lines up. The low was formed first. The level was put in first. We're pushing up here to the highs, and that's all great. Now, the reason I'm using this, and I had never done so before, but it's really handy, this trading view. If you have a subscription for Edgeful, you get all of these indicators included. So when I found out about that, I wanted to see these opening range and how they graph or illustrate the indicators associated with the reports. So here we have the opening range high, the opening range low, the price, and the percentages, right? So it makes it real easy to do and to follow along. Okay, that hasn't anything to do with the data down here or with my trading, but it's a visualization tool is really great, I think. I like it a lot. So the next order of business we're going to have, because this is pretty nondescript, non-decisive, shall we say. Let's go to Electric Avenue. I don't know why I do that every time. It must be annoying. And we'll take off the customizations all days. And this is all weekdays, but we want Friday. All right, so we put in the initial balance low first. The expectation is we're going to take out the initial balance high first. It will be the first break, 45%. And that's where we are right now. That's what we can do with the data. Now we're ready to go. We can start thinking about this, and we can start doing some analysis on the book map and just make sure we've got everything else set in place. Did I go over? I don't think so. The being able to trade with Bookmap. Well, the way you do that is you have to activate the trade control panel, select a account, and then this will automatically propagate because I'm using micro brackets. So you can click that back off, and now you get all your real estate back, but you also get the metrics, and you get cancel and close all. Pretty handy. Now we need to look over here and make sure we've got everything else right. There's the multi-account trading. That's correct. Here's the multi-brackets. It's on the right one. This is a 2-lot high volatility, risk-neutral multi-bracket. Total size of the package is 2 lots, 24 ticks. The first take profit is half the package for the same amount of ticks. When this is achieved, the trade is risk neutral. You cannot possibly lose. You can only scratch unless you move your stop loss away from your entry. Then you're got more problems than you know what to do with. And then this is the second profit target or runner. So that's all right. They can be changed any way you want to do it. Set up as many as you want, many legs as you want. I might make this 4 contracts and put 2 1 and 1. That might be something to do. We'll talk about that later. And I want to make sure I'm on the right statistics. And I'll be absolutely honest with you. I've never gone to the web journal, wherever that is, and see what the journal looks like. Maybe really cool. I don't know. I haven't done that. And you can do this for any accounts. I got my AMP account and, whatever. So that's no problem. And a word about the multi-brackets and the multi-trading accounts and all this Lucid stuff. I am doing this study or, you know, is this is homework? Are these viable times to trade? I'm also working on a hedge trade management facility or capability. So I'm real hyper conscious about risk management. This turned out to be the best possible risk management with the lowest or the highest return on investment, because I can trade size, reasonable size that I normally trade, you know, 3 or 4 contracts, whatever. In this case, 2, up to, you know, 10. I can trade with those accounts. I can trade 20 micros, 2 minis, or 2 minis. You realize that there's a 10-to-1 ratio. Okay. So I could trade many more than this if I wanted to, which means that's not like trying to trade with one contract that you can't scale in, scale out, do anything. Can get paid out. So it's not, you know, I get payouts. So it's not, it's real trading. It's also live data, rhythmic data, just like IRT, same thing. But I have the minimal amount of risk. And wait a minute here. That's much, much better than my live AMP account, because anything I would do in my live AMP account is money out of my live pocket. Not a good thing. The only thing I can be out of pocket here is the cost of the evaluation, which is was basically chump change, one-time fee. In the old days, these used to be monthly subscription and all that kind of crap. When I didn't know anything about this, somebody just clued me in I don't know, 3 weeks, 4 weeks ago. So I'm real happy about that. I can get paid. I have one payment. I don't have anything else to do. No other payments to make. And I get payouts, and I can trade size, you know, and the rules are not stupid. The rules are, there's no daily drawdown. There is a consistency rule on this type of an account. And there's a profit target. That's it. You know? Even I can remember those. So there you go. And that the reason is risk and being able to have, I could trade in a book map data simulated, but there's no possible, you're never going to make any money. It's like Ninja Trader, you know, you can trade it till you're blue in the face, but you're never going to make 1 penny. I make pennies. I make payouts. So there you go. There we have it. Now, let me get up here. And that's the reason for it. And I like it, actually. So, make sure everything's working right here. Yep, no drop frames or anything. That's where we are. We will continue to filter our data down towards the, possibility for trading. This is how I will analyze the trade in advance, narrate in advance what I'm thinking, and if I have a trigger, I'll put the trade on, and then I'll manage the trade live, real time, on the stream. Full accountability. So there you go. And I think I've explained that. Now we have to wait an hour, because the stream, I have these set up for a 1 hour orb. So let's get back over here. See what we need to do extra. Nothing. We got Friday. We got all days. That's good. This is an important metric, but we can only put it in ending zone. That should give you a hint. You can only do that at the end of the last candle, closing price of the last candle within the first, whatever you have the orb set at, or the IB set at, in this case, 60 minutes. Right instrument, 1 year, right thingamajigger over here, right session, right report. Okay. Oh, well, that's not very nice, is it? So here we are. Here's our little trade so far today. And down here, even more so. Right here. And this will never change from right now because this is RTH session only, right? So we'll reset tomorrow morning at 8:30, but tomorrow morning is a holiday, so I will scrub the holiday from the data, and the next time this will come into use will be Monday morning at 08:30. There you go. Okay. Okay. So we're 6 handles right here. Is that what we are? 8. Okay, my eyes are so terrible and they're tired by now. I've been about 9 hours so far on the stream and preps. So here's something to start thinking about. This is what remember that I am talking to myself. This is my journal, and the only way I can get my thoughts into the recording is this voiceover. So bear with me. It's important to start realizing what we have in terms of range, in terms of meat on the bone, risk. The entire range is 8 handles, so every one of these is 2 points. So if it doesn't start expanding quite a bit, this will be a no trade range basically, because we would have to pull back to at minimum the 50% line, and that wouldn't even be any good either. It's only 4 points, that doesn't really justify putting our account at risk for 4 points, and this is only 8 points across the entire thing. So that's the kind of stuff you got to start thinking about in advance. You don't want to get all hurry, scurry, and blurry and slap on a trade and then realize you're a dork. You've got no meat to eat, no meat on the bone. Just thinking out loud. In addition to the accountability of the charting and the way Bookmap plots a trade is completely obvious. I'll show you an example of that. I also stream the entire monitor, so you always have access to any open programs I have. You can see down here, or I'm not running 2 sets of Bookmap or something. The system clock to the second and the date, which ties back to the timeline here on both IRT and Bookmap, and probably over here too somewhere. That the range is a really big deal. Now it looks like they're gonna expand the range a bit to the top side, which is good. Remember that we put in the low first, and then the high. So good for us. Hmm. Oh, yeah, I was going to show you that. Maybe it's a good idea, I guess. Yeah, probably good. So this was the trade the other day on the. I always make a screen snap at the end of every day, of every trading day when there are trades on. Oh, so this is how Bookmap plots graphically a trade, and then at the end of every day, I post this, which has all of the data to the millisecond that you could imagine about each trade. The way the graphing works is that here's the entry, and this was going to be a hedge, so a stop and and this is kind of a poor example because it plots a green break-even line when you start taking profit targets, and the red is for the short. And let me see if I can find a better one. Not much. Oh yeah, that's a little better. You can see how here is the entry, and the first profit, and then this is the break even. So we're now this was the hedge technique. So the way this was going to work was it pulled down here and it doubled to here. So this is the break even or the average price, and then this is the take profit. So that's that. I mean, it's real obvious how it plots the trade. I think that's the last one I can. No better one to plot in here, I don't think. No, this was just a screen snap to show how ridiculous the closing swing trade was on this day. After 1500, they ran it all the way across the entire range and took out the other side. The volatility is crazy. Anyway, so I can't really show you a real fancy expanded one. Somewhere there's one around here, but you get the point. So now we're widening things out. So we're at 33 to 23. We're now 10 points across the stream. So each one of these is 2.5 points. Not much, but better. Each one of our zones, I should say. And the way these zones work is once we get to the data in the ending zone, we'll look at the retracement, and there will be a probability of retracement to the 25 and to the 50. And then we can estimate how we would put in an order based on that. Welcome to the stream. Like, subscribe, drop something in the chat for sure. This is my virtual trading journal. It's absolutely, definitely not my way or the highway idea. It's a collaboration. I put what I'm doing out here, full transparency, full disclosure, and I'm looking for, comments, advice, suggestions. You're out of your freaking mind, whatever. So there we are. And I think I haven't queued up the music. Let me do that. Oop. There we go. Now, there's a lot of weirdness going on with Trump and meetings, and keep your eyes open for potential he's talking now, 1648, he's talking about his strong rapport with Elon Musk. Some stuff from him just now, so be really careful. Again, it's not politically motivated, or there's no political comment at all, but in today's world, as traders, our job is to maintain and preserve our account. And the first way you do that, the first step, is risk management. Well, if you don't, if there's some unquantified risk potential, you want to be real careful. And I think, you should be aware, whoever you voted for, you should be aware that when, Trump can have a real unpredictable influence on the market, or I should say the market could have a real unpredictable reaction to stuff he says. I remember very vividly about 3 months ago, Friday morning, 10 o'clock. He comes out with a tweet that, of course, I don't, watch the tweets, but he comes out with a tweet and the market sold off 229 handles. And that tweet had nothing to do. What he was mad about had not happened. What he threatened he was going to do never happened. So essentially, it was a nothing burger. It was a completely meaningless tweet. There was no provocation and there was no response. But the market still sold off 229 handles. Now, was the market looking for an excuse? Maybe. But so what? The point is, if you were the wrong way or didn't have stops and targets, your account was gone. Poof. So you need to be aware of that. And I've been around this for a while, a lot of years, and it's not been like this before. This is this is a very, very unique environment we're in right now. And here we go. They keep pushing this high up, so that's good. Keep opening that thing up, baby girl. So it's now 34 to 23, so we're still just barely 10 handles wide. Ugh. Okay. And sometimes, frequently, I might say, we're not even 3 points wide yet. For example, we can have a look. That's what's so handy about this trading view. I can't tell you how stupid I feel that I didn't know about this thing before. Here was yesterday. Nothing till right before Asia opened. Broke out. Retested up to here. And then dropped straight down. I missed that. That was a missed opportunity on my part. No breakout. Inside until later in the night. So, it's a crapshoot, and would not be very unusual to not have a breakout and have a tight range, she said. the way I look at markets like this and days like this, we sold off like hell. Taking profit into the close. And a few more people want to get some more profit off, and then Asia's going to come on and we might just continue that sell-off. That's very, very, very possible. And that happened right there. Look at that. So here we go, you know. Boom. Up. A little more, and then down we come, and Asia just falls out of bed. So I'm not predicting anything. I'm just saying you got to trade what you see here and keep your eyes wide open. That's why I'm trying to trade based on statistics and probabilities, not the seat of my pants or gunslinging or video gaming or any of that stuff. If you're successful doing those things, don't stop, whatever you do. If you go at trading because you like the adrenaline rush or the dopamine and it's a video game, play the hell out of it. I think it's a better video game than a first-person shooter or some stupid crap like that that's going to get you nowhere ever. At least here you're going to learn about, just by osmosis, you're going to learn something about the economy and the stock market and how things trade, and you could make some money. So, I think it's a great idea, but this is not what I'm trying to accomplish. I am in the process of developing a consistently profitable trading business. So, there you go. Welcome. And we're almost coming up to that first hour now. So we have to start thinking, right? It's 47 minutes. This is going to set this orb is going to set at 1800 right here. So we got a couple more minutes left to go. I just realized right side there. Just kind of cool. So let's take it to the next step. Now let me explain how this ending zone story works. The ending zone is the assignment of certain percentages based on these zones. And the way you start is, or you assign them, is from opposite the first level formed. That's real important in Edgeville, or it's a good place to start. And they keep it consistent. And the zone is designated by the closing price of the last bar in the whatever orb or IB you have set. In my case, it's 1 hour. If you have it 15 minutes, it would be the last closing price of the last bar in 15 minutes. So you set the percentages 0 to 25, 25 to 50, 50 to 75, 75 to 100. And in this case, if this were the closing price of the last bar of the first 1 hour, this would be a 0 to 25 range. Ending zone. And then that value is entered in the customs right over here. And that has a pretty big bearing on what's going on with these. Remember now that the low was put in first, so we're looking for an IB high breakout, but we only got a 46% probability that it's going to break the IB high. 3% it will break the low. And remember that we had a 50% probability that it won't break either one. On Friday, looking back a year on the MES. Remember? So, this needs to start being absorbed. Here's the 47, right? But there's still 50% probability that we're not going to take either one of them. If we do, if this is formed first, this is the probability that the high will break out first, if either one breaks out. So that's it. And we've got 10 minutes to go. Then let's just imagine that it stays up here, and we'll put in the custom report. First of all, here's the relationship and the probability, right? 46, 3. Let's throw in the custom ending zone right here, 0.25, which is what we just saw. Okay, now there's a 57% probability we're going to break the IB high first, and no probability of the low. And this is switched completely. We may not do that. We are still within this first zone over here. You know, so if it can close in this first zone, that's still 0 to 25%. So that's fine. If it closes down here, it's going to change. The next step on this tool is to then look at assuming these values stay the same, the next step is to look at the retracement. What this says is, if we break the initial balance high, which is what they call breakout is to a high, breakdown is low or short, there's a 49% probability we're going to retrace to the 25% line, 25% to the 50. What does that mean by any stretch of the imagination? Oh, and we've got to get the days all queued up over here. Let's do that now. I wasn't aware that needed to be fixed on this one too. 66. 50. Okay. So what that means is, if let's look over here on Bookmap, we trade up and break out the IB high, orb high, there's a 50% probability that we'll retrace to this 25% level right here. There's a 22% probability that we will retrace to the 50. So what would I be thinking? I will be, if we break out, now we've got about 2.5 points between our zones, so that's a little bit spooky because that's only 2.5 points, right? That's not much meat on the bone. I would want to see it pull back towards the 50, so I at least had 2 zones or 5 points potential, because you don't know if it's going to get up here and smack into this or not. It may never go back there again. Or past there again. So I would be looking for a retrace back in here somewhere, and for the long. Now, what some people do, and I don't recommend it, especially in these orb sessions, is to front run. I think today I think, there was 100% probability by this ending zone, 100% probability we would take out, let's say the IB high. So someone would, and price pulls back down around the 50 down here someplace. Somebody goes, well, I'm going long and I'm betting on the come. I'm going to front run to this high. It was the other way around. It was the low and it was today. But I don't think that's necessarily a good or sound strategy, because there's no data that supports that I've been able to figure out over here. Now I could do that with IRT, but it would have to be coded up specifically, you know. So there you go. And actually with the IRT, I sort of have something similar to that coded with the original old-fashioned one. So we can look at that in a little minute, but we're going to be 5 minutes to go here. We're up we're pretty solidly in the first zone, so we're still looking at the 0 to 25% ending zone calculation. There's no question about the fact that we're going to have the low formed first, because, well, there's a question. I guess they could drop it down through there if somebody says something nasty, but I'm not anticipating that. And we had a VPOC migration higher here. We've got the IB. We have, now this is the VWAP for the RTH session, and this is the mid for the RTH. So remember that. This is the VWAP for our Globex, and this is the POC for the Globex. So let's see what this handy dandy, really cool looking trading views got up its sleeve. Well, 12 points. So there's about 3 points between them now. So we've opened up to 12 points. This will be the last bar right here. And it's going to close in. And you can tell for sure what zone you're in and where you are, because this will immediately flesh out with what was formed first, what was there a breakout, was there not, whatever. But you can also just look at the thing over here and see the clock, right? No, so because these are 5-minute candles, what'll happen is this close of this bar will be the zone indicator, and then the next bar will open inside the 30 minutes, but it will close outside. So this, by definition, will be the last closing bar, the last close price in the zone, in the first hour. If that makes any sense. Doesn't to me, but you know. And we can also see what we're doing over here pretty easily, right? There's the orb. There's the 25. We're trading around up here. There you go. Poof, Bob's your uncle. Now, I think we've got the orb already. They could push the orb high up a little more too. We still have minutes, right? We still got 3 minutes. So let's zoom back here and make sure I've got all my ducky poos in a row. Ducky poo. Count Duckula, Jesus. Crazy. Okay, there's the orb. There's the right day, there's the right instrument, there's the right look back. Here we are for the retracement. Yes, sirree, Bobby. Let's make sure the rejection's right. For 20, 0 to 25, we got 57% probability we're going to take the orb high. Remember, in the whether an orb high or low would be broken, we still have a 50% probability that neither one will be taken out today. Remember that? There's a 50.989% no orb will be broken. Double break is forget about it. And a single break is 47%. Wow, that ties together. So that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. But here, now, because of our ending zone, this bump from 40 up to 57. And then the retracement. So I hope all of this methodology and thought process is clear here, because that's the point of this stream. And we're going to have this set in 30 seconds. And right before 30 seconds, they're going to push it up a skosh. Isn't that funny? They just always seem to want to do that. 15 seconds and they're putting it up another little bit, I think it looks like. Anyway, the ending zone is going to be a no-brainer. And 4 seconds. So we've got about 3 points per zone. That's pretty tight, actually. What I'd love to see happen is, so there we are. There is our in place now. What I told you over here. Fleshed out. So the low was put in first. We haven't broken the higher low. We've got 12 1/4 wide on the IP on the thingamajigger over here. And here we are. So thank you very much, TradingView. We know what we're doing here. We're looking for the IB high. Oops, we're looking for the IB high over here to break out. So there's 50% probability that it'll happen. 22% will get down over here because remember, it's the IB high. Breakout means high. Break down means low. How low can you go? Okay. Here we go. Be pretty miraculous if they don't break out, wouldn't it? That would be pretty funny. I mean, how many times have they hit this high? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times? Wow. That's a lot. Jesus. What I would like to see happen in a perfect world, it worries me about the direction here. Like it's kind of a, they want to take it up here so they can hurry up and get back on the short train with the rest of those guys from earlier. Would be take it out, pull back here to kind of a price check at aisle 3 and the Globex VWAP, and then be along, and you'd have, about 6, 7, 8 points. Well, what would you have actually? 31 to... Oh, wow. Really? 4 points is all? Hold on a second here. 31 to... No shit. 4 points. Say 5. Yeah, that's pretty skinny. That's pretty skinny to put on risk. Frankly. Especially in light of what the price action was going into the close. And this is stats. You could say, well, I think it's going to go the other way, and I'm going to get short up here and go blah blah whatever, whatever way you want to lean on it. And if it goes your way, good for you, but it's got nothing to do with the data. And I'm trying to stick to that. So here's Blue Boy. We are something over here. We're 1 foot, 1 point high, I guess, or something. Yeah, so we're 1 point high. Blue Boy on the job, and they have not broken out the orb yet. That's pretty weird. That's very weird. But remember, there's a 53% probability that they will not break either side. I will be pretty thoroughly amazed that they could bang up, stop and think about it. You beat on the bottom of a bucket with a hammer long enough, pretty soon you knock a hole in it, don't you? But boy, they didn't. And it could be that there's somebody sitting on the RTH VWAP that said, no thanks, we're not going there. I don't know. I certainly don't. But there we go. Now this is where Monkey Boy starts, nibbling on people's ears and getting them all excited about front running and we're gonna get this stat and we're right up here at the top and all that. I use the term monkey boy or monkey mind euphemistically for the psychological crap that traders go through. We all do. We all do. And we'll never get over it. It's come down through our DNA and our wiring. So it's not something you're going to just not like changing your pants or something, you're not going to do that. What I believe, at least what I do, is try to stay real aware of the here and now. If I feel myself getting a dopamine or adrenaline or FOMO or grudge or God, that's going to break. I really want to do that. And then I just know to push away the mouse and invite Monkey Boy out in the backyard. Raccoons, I say, go play in the backyard, buddy. But I don't have, as consequently, and amongst other things, I guess, chart time, whatever, screen time. I don't overtrade. Actually, probably the biggest problem I have is analysis by paralysis, not hesitating on trades rather than hitting them. Today was a perfect example when I actually said, oh, I'm short, go short, and I didn't click the short, and it ran 15 or 20 handles. I don't chase either, so there's that. But wow, that's just absolutely amazes the hell out of me that we were right up there banging on that high and did not go up there. Isn't that something? Let's see the reaction down here at the VWAP and see if it does what I was, saying I would like to see happen after the orb had been taken out, after the stat was in place. And I have to be aware of what's going on. Yeah, okay, it's only 8 o'clock. So Asia will come up at 1900, and that another 45 minutes or so, 50 minutes, 55. And I'll change these zones around, and they'll pick up with that. Now, the rest of this stuff stays the same, of course. Remember, this is a Thursday night before a Friday holiday, before a long holiday, and not just any holiday, the 4th of July holiday on top of everything else, and a big one, 250th birthday. What a mess. What a mess. Well, look at this. I'm truly surprised. I'm so surprised I'm going to go get another glass of green tea. They're just banging on that VWAP. Isn't that something? Huh. Oh. Pretty weird. Hell of a delay there. That's crazy. And Trump speaks tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. They had policy meetings all day today. That scares the hell out of me. They're cooking up something. Going to declare war on South Dakota or someplace, I suppose. Well, we are down at the 50. So, yeah. This is fun. Not. We have not taken either of the stats, and we're on the 50% line. That means smack up. Smack up in the middle. So that 54% probability that we don't break either side, very, very, very possible. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And this is where those who may or may not be as forthright about their trading in live in real time are going to give you the rearview mirror number if this taps off the 50 down here and comes up and takes out the stat. You know, you might hear stuff about how I knew that I was going to front run it off that 50% line, and my answer to that, or my response to that, is, well, that's cool. Let me see the live trade, please. That seems to slow down a lot of people. And again, I only trade live. I execute on Bookmap, and if I don't have a trigger, it's not a structured trade, I don't take it. There's no trade. Simple. And as you know, if we've gone through the data process, and and that's that. I don't know where that's going now. Why isn't it going in where I wanted it to? And here comes the POC back down. So it's doing the square dance over here. We got a little hoedown going. Quite interesting how the data pans out, right? We are right on the 50%. We were beaten on the top up here as we went into the close. Right there. Right there. They only had to go up one tick to take that high, and they did not do that. Pretty crazy, I think. When you look at the data over here and you get back to the bi-week day, what do you see? 51% probability we do not break out. 28 out of 51 days. 1 year. On Friday, in this zone, in this, session, all other filters being equal. It's pretty, you can't argue with data too hard. And given the ending zone and the fact that the IB low formed first, there's a 57% probability that if we do break out, it would be to the upside. And then we have the retrace probabilities based on if it's an upside breakout, we would have a 50% probability to pull back to the 25, 22% back to the 50. On Friday, in the MES, looking back a year. In this IB or ORB time frame. And now remember, this is 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. because we're looking at UTC +9 to get the proper Asia morning session for Friday because it didn't want to do the data for us over here. Using my Chicago Globex. Same time zone, just flipping them around. That's just pretty crazy. I would have bet dollars to donuts we were going to, if somebody said, what do you think? I said, well, we're going to, one more tick. Are you kidding me? Of course it's going to break up. By at least one tick, but it did not do that. Pretty amazing. So, and we have 40 minutes now or more. Now we have, 18 minutes before this session is over, and we could come up here and break it out right now. Looks like that's what they want to do. But I will say this before that happens, I will be very hard pressed to take a trade when we're only talking about 3 points per zone. So that's, if it pulled to the 50, that's maximum planning would be a 6-point trade. I'm not sure that that's enough meat on the bone. And if you with the stop 24 ticks, that's going to be down here. That's going to be 1-to-1. Actually, what do I have this multi-bracket on again? Football. 24 ticks. Okay, so 24 ticks is 6 points. So if you entered exactly at the 50, T1 would be right there, and stop would be right there. And the runner would be off the charts up here somewhere. So I don't think that's there's not enough meat there. Here we go. There they took it. Finally, we got the IB high. ORB high, sorry. So they took the high. We now can look at a 50% probability for a retracement over here. Aren't we happy? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Come on. And you'll see right up here, yes, the high was broken. And there you are. But man, that is not by basically a tick, I mean, it's not exactly ripping any place. Doesn't look like there's a lot of enthusiasm. that brings me to a point. What the hell kind of volume we looking at? Zippo. Well, there you go. 40% average volume. Okay, I'm off of this. Absolutely. We'll see what happens with Asia. That's no good. The way this works is it's the average volume for the past 20 trading sessions at this time of day. So just, pass. Wow, that's ridiculous. All right, so that pretty much says that. Mama's running the vacuum cleaner. I mean, mute this off. Well, okay, so there we go. None of these will have anything to do with what we're having tonight. Look how tight that range is. These are the values that push the book map. Well, I'm not surprised necessarily that, but a bit disappointed. And this will do nothing to that tonight because it's only RTH section. Excuse me. 40, what is it? You know, me and 3 other guys are looking at this market or what? Oh, yeah. And of course, again, if you have a trade plan or the statistics to support a trade where you got long somewhere, you're down here. I mean, the maximum you could get long is down here. So you've got 12 points. If you rode this thing all the way across the top from perfect to perfect, from can to can't, well, I'm not that guy. That's for sure. I am not that guy. So here comes pullbacks. We'll see how the stats line up here. We'll see if it gets Well, if I were interested in this, which I am very definitely saying at the forefront, beginning, I'm not. There's a 50% probability we get to the 25, and then only 22% to the 50% line. So 50% to here, 22% to here. So I would kind of extrapolate or interpolate in the middle there somewhere. And I would be looking for around, and since there is already a level in here, there's an obstacle, the Globex VWAP, that would kind of be where I was thinking, well, maybe they'll run through it a little bit and get along. But we're talking 3. What do we got? Hold on. 32. 35, 3 points, 3.25 points. So 4 points, that's not much. And what's your risk? You got a lot of risk, right? Now, one thing that is fairly, there's a very low probability of taking both sides, of reaching both sides. You also have to remember that this thing is not looking at, it's taking into consideration these data, but it's not figuring on the administration and the war and the fact that this is the 4th of July weekend and all of that kind of stuff. I suppose that's factored into the data at some point, but it's not in this study, I don't think, It's looking at the basic filtering stuff that we've already done. Well, these evenings are boring. Actually, trading is boring. If you're doing it the way I approach it, which is systematically and based on statistics. When you have a setup, you take the setup. If you don't have a setup, you don't trade. Easy. Easy peasy. Not exciting, not boring, doesn't make for good streaming, that's for sure. I'm sure, I'm aware of that. But this is my virtual journal, and so I'm sticking to my guns here. I am sticking to my guns. Remember that these are 1 point high on price here, so there's 4 ticks in every one of them. And there's Blue Boy over here. So this is the beginning. This is the first print of the session. So there's absolutely no question, should be no question in your mind or mine, what the context is of this session. It's just been slowly taking the stairs up. Okay. I'm going to try to figure out some other stuff while I'm standing here, since this is a homework period anyway, really. Now there's a fella, a trader, drops into these orb sessions or streams fairly regularly, but in the RTH stream for sure. And he's got a completely different system that works very well for him, and I like the sound of it. It's because it's simple, and he's, not. He's looking for base hits and consistency. So I'm going to start working on that idea, and it's basically it's basically an orb trade, but with a different orb range, which is done by time. Now, I can also filter when I do this. Where'd it go? We can also filter for the width of the opening range, or the IB, and when I make the code over here, for example, I can do the same thing. I can, for example, if, let's get to this one, because this is exactly based on the same parameters as what we're looking at on the book map. So these values are a percentage of the range. And I can make sure that, for example, if you had a 50-point range, well, each one of these would be, 12 points, 12 and a half points. Well, that's a lot of risk. So I can control that by the average, or the actual range here is 12 and a quarter points. I can control that by the, over here in the settings, so that I don't have, I can filter out either by ATR or range, max range. In other words, there's the ATR, the range limit. I've got it set for 150 because I wanted it real wide and not have any problems. I can also do ATR. If I set it, say 20, so if the range was more than 20 handles, it wouldn't take a trade. That would be a filter. Good afternoon. We are in the Globex stream, which is my virtual trading journal. And because of a commitment to never take any trades off the stream, and I'm interested to see if there's some trade opportunities in the opening range breakout for both the Globex and the Asian sessions. That's why we're streaming. And this has been about as much fun as watching paint dry so far. I mean, it's Thursday night, Friday's a holiday tomorrow, and I'm just doing it because I made the commitment to do so. Ooh, just did a bunch of pull-ups, now I'm out of breath. So we did take the breakout right about here. It was pretty amazing that we teased it about 8 or 9 times and didn't break it, but we finally got the orb high. The original stat, there's a 50% probability that we would pull back to the 25%, which we did. Another 22% we'd pull down to the 50%. Which we did not. And originally I was looking for this Globex or this VWAP to be down here, but it's moving up, so I don't think there's a trade here. And the reason for it is there's no meat on the bone for me. If you took the 25, yeah, it would have. This is only 3 points. Right? What do we got here? There's 32.75, 35.75, 3 points. That's substantial risk for 3 points, and then on top of everything, you've got this mid up here. I mean, which is this is from the RTH mid, but still, some levels out there, and we're approaching the end of this orb session, which will switch over to Asia at 1900. It wouldn't even be if I got long here, for example, with the bracket order that I have. Where am I? 33. Call it 33 even. We would be, we wouldn't even have T1 till 39, right? Because it's a 24 tick T1 and then 90 tick T2, so that's way off the map. Crazy. It might go to all those levels. I'm not saying that's not a possibility, but what I'm saying is with these levels in the way and such a low, well, I don't know, my usual word is not enough meat on the bone here, because we've got the range requirement and there's not enough unobstructed range to the first T1 even, never mind T2. So just have to see. I mean, that's a game call, an audible. Called an audible. I've noticed over this past few weeks that I've been doing this Globex. I think this is the 4th or 5th week. There seems to be quite a bit of action going into the Asia Open. So, you know, if I were long down here, which was valid, okay, there's the breakout, there's the retest, or retrace, and now it's moving up. This could just rip up here to the IB high, for Christ's sake. You don't know. But it's not a, well, I didn't take it, first of all. And so I'm not going to pretend that I did. I'm having a problem with this Tokyo, or this orb session, because what do I do if I'm in a trade going Tokyo Opens? Would have to just stick with it and manage it out. And frequently, Tokyo will just, or Asia will just rip the other direction. So I'm trying to figure out what to do here. This is a homework period. This is replacing my usual homework study and period, which I do, you know, off stream and here in my computers. But I'm doing this because of a commitment to only take live trades on the stream, never any trade taken off stream. So if I saw an opportunity here, which I did a couple weeks ago, and took it, and it was fine. But I was able to, it's included in the stream, so that's that, as far as I'm concerned. Now we got about 8 minutes left for the Tokyo, or the Asia. I don't know why I call it Tokyo now, all of a sudden. Asia. To open up. For Asia to open up. One other thing, looked at this a minute ago. This was 40% average. 40% average volume. Well, 43. They jumped way up to 44. Okay, it was 40% a few minutes ago. That's, you know, dangerous. Caution, Will Robinson. And there's a lot of craziness going on geopolitically. Trump was just busy talking a minute ago, and that doesn't seem to be affecting anything here, which is great. I mean, first of all, he talk whenever he wants. There's no question about that. But the point is, I want to know about it if I have a risk potential. Looks like the last time he had something to say was right here. I have a strong rapport with Elon Musk. Oh, that's So I'm not seeing anything else happening. He speaks again tomorrow at 9. That's already scheduled over here. So let's hope they go out and have a nice evening or whatever. Whatever they do. Can't imagine what they would do. So we've got about 4.5 minutes here. I will switch the push these values for the this Asia session here in a minute. No trades, nobody left on third. So what'll happen now over here in Trading View, which is pretty cool, I'll change the dashboard now, I guess. Might as well do that now. From the dashboard that we're using here. To the one for the next up, which is going to be this one right here. And there we go. It'll start forming the opening range right down here when it's time. And there we go. Bing, bang, bong. 2.5 or 3 minutes on this candle, and then it's going to be Asia time. And I'll change all the edge fill data around and start looking at that when it's when we've flipped over here. I can do it now, I guess. Why not? So this is not going to be it anymore. We're going to jump over to Chicago, Asia. And we're going to get up here to weekdays. And we're on Bywick and Dick and Friday. It's quite dramatic, huh? Look at that. 91% probability we're going to have a single break in this Asia period. 8% will double break, and 0% we will have no break, given the same setup. Now the problem, why didn't that work? Did you see that? Huh. That's pretty weird. I thought I had that selected. That's great. Oh, I changed the reports. All right. Well, Friday, here we go. All right. 24% we double break and 4% we don't break. So it's Jesus, still ticking over. We got a minute down there. We got a minute to go, Joe. And what we'll want to know is the rejections, and I'm going to have to do some changing around here now. It's Friday, and okay, and there we are. So we'll see which statistic we put in first. Which level is formed first. Just running through the clockwork, right? I'm running down the checklist. 6 months. Let's punch this to a year. That seems to be more reliable here. More data points. MES, 1 year. Buy rejection. This time zone or this session. And there we go. There is Asia. Bing, bang, boom. And not a big pop either. Well, some pop. A little pop is happening here. We're having a little poppage over. Having some poppage over here. And we'll slap a blue boy on this just to keep my head together. So there's Blue Boy. That's the first print of Asia. So at this moment, the first level formed is the low because we're just getting off to a start here. And how you can determine that is you can look right over here and see what Asia's up to. See there? And it's 5 points already. Pretty cool, huh? It's really a handy tool, I gotta tell you. I'm so amazed I never found it, really discovered it before. Now what they're gonna do is they're gonna put in the low first, or the high first, and if they take this low down here, then yeah, and they're gonna do that. So now they put in a new low. That means that this high will be up there. Ooh, I tell you what else I've got to do. I got to do the switcheroo over here. Switcheroo. So these values will now be pushed across the book map for the Asia session. In a minute, these will change, and this should be right up here, and this should be right down here, and there we go. Should be. Woulda, shoulda, coulda, baby. There they are. Isn't that cute? Now there's no question in my mind, or yours, or anybody's. The IB high or the orb high was formed first, or orb low second so far. We've only been into this 2 minutes, so it's not need to get in too big a hurry. And we'll start, it's a little early to start working on the data, but the way this would work is that the high was formed first. So until these ending zone and everything gets factored in here, there's a 50% probability that we're going to break out the IB low first, or the orb low. Makes sense. And this is still working on the first 5-minute candle, right? So that's, I leave them on 5 minutes. It's easier for me to see it. As soon as we trip over the next one, which is going to be a minute, 10 seconds, and we'll keep going. No, in Bookmap, remember that these values are only looking at this Asia session now. This is the overnight high, which Asia just contributed to, but the overnight low is still down here from the orb, or from the Globex down here, right? So these values aren't really applicable now because we're doing Asia. Maybe it's better if I do that and leave it like that for a while. In these strategies with data, trading on data, there's none of this discretionary whip gunslinging, click the crap out of things doesn't happen. Now, you can do things like, for example, if you're interested in having a 30-second orb, you can do that. And you can mine all the data about it, and you can have that 30-second orb plotted out just like this. I wouldn't think you're going to get too far with these zones in there necessarily, but and a lot of people do that. I mean, I know one particular guy that comes through the trades here with us on the risk neutral trading, and that's exactly what he does. He's got an orb, real short orb like that, and he does fine. There's a million different ways to go at this business, and anybody that tells you they got the only way is trying to sell you something, in my opinion. Yes. Charlie Munger and Buffett. Somebody was going on about EBITDA and all this stuff, and they were how to do cost accounting and whether this and that and something else. What do you think, Charlie? He goes, well, my opinion is if you're reading a report or listening to a conversation, and every time you see the word EBITDA, replace it with bullshit. What a great guy. What a great guy. What a great life. Big family, happy, lots of money. Lived to almost 100, I think. Mel Brooks has just turned 100 the other day, and he's not even retiring. He's still working. Quite a good life, I guess. That's what happens when you don't have a lot of stress, I think. I think stress is a big problem for a lot of people, me included. Most of us, a lot of us, I guess, except for, some people that figured out how to steal more money than they could possibly spend in a lifetime. Well, we're 10 points wide now, so each of our little boys in there are 2.5 points, each of our little zones, so that's still pretty tight. Not much meat on that bone. We've put in the high first officially now, because we just put in a new low according to this. Look at here, if you see this. That looks to me like the high was put in first because there's a gap down here on the low. I'm not really seeing that over here. Except now you see it now, It's kind of deceiving when these go all the way back. But what the hell, they do what they do. I can use them, so what can I say? And all you have to do is look at this, and you can tell what got formed first, right? There's the high, and here we're doing these things. And that's what we'll start using to filter the data and filter down to actionable situation. I don't have high hopes for this at all, frankly. It's holiday night. I'm doing it because I said I would, and I'm interested to watch it. I will be probably doing some experimenting tomorrow. I'll let my data run for those tradeaholics over at that use my session prices. By the way, I push these session prices. I publish them free for anybody that wants them 24/7 from Sunday night through Friday evening. And tomorrow I won't do it, but it won't be Friday evening tomorrow because it's the holiday, but every day, every week, and it's free. So just drop something in the chat if you want, and if you could use them. No problem. No strings attached. I don't even know who uses them. I've posted the link a couple of times in the Traders Lab, and I think a lot of people share it around. And I push them up to Google, and then the link is a CSV from Google, so that you can paste in the cloud notes or in this indicator column or your software of choice. And I don't even know who or how many. That isn't the point. Wasn't my point. We keep pushing them down now. That's kind of a good thing. Now we're at 13 points, so we're now wider than we were when we closed this mother over here. So we're at 3 points wide on our zones. So if we get a pullback to the 50, we've got 6 points underneath of us there to the first zone, and that would be exactly our T1. Remember that we have the multi-bracket set up here. I have the multi-bracket. I hate that we thing, but it seems like I just default to it. I don't know. So there's a stop. There's the take profit. So what would happen is if we pulled back to the 50 after we took the IB low, or the orb low, the stop would be right at the high and the T1 would be down here, and then our T2 would be way off the map someplace. Okay, what do we got going on here? I guess the music. Yep. I'm only 15 minutes in. Oh, 13 minutes. Oh. Slowly. What would I imagine was going to happen? I don't know. That's a big, I don't know. Crazy range day. Outside day for the last 2 sessions. Into the holiday, and here we are. Having fun again. Oh, what was that? Look at that. All the way across the range to the top. What the hell? What was that all about? Somebody said boo or what? That's pretty amazing. They took it right down here to these levels and jetted across the top with gusto. That's pretty strange. Why, I wonder. Huh. Interesting. And those kind of things, that price action is always interesting but anomalous, Okay, why? I mean, why did we doing this? Except for the fact that they're just banging back and forth around the orb here, this Globex 1, and I don't know. I have no idea. We have to keep our eye on this, though, because what'll happen now, what can happen very easily if we come up here and push in a new high, then all of a sudden the data flips around to the first level being formed as the orb low, which has an impact on the probabilities and which one we use first and all that. Mm. I guess people that are trading this, somebody's trading the hell out of it. Back and forth in a 4 or 5 point range. What are they, what are they doing? Trading big size, you suppose? Or how do you make money doing that? It's got to be, and there's only two ways you're going to do it. It's like selling cars. Either you're going to sell Cadillacs or Volkswagens, same thing, volume or quality, or volume or quantity. So either have to have a big range, or in the case of such a real tight range like this, you'd be trading big size. So that if 4 points is, in the economy of scale there, I guess. I don't know. Maybe it's just two algorithms duking it out, Who the hell knows? Who the hell knows? I know that this is no place for me to be playing at the moment. And we're rounding the corner here pretty quick for the final 30 minutes up to the orb, and then we're going to see what happens until about 8:30 or 9. Then I'm going to be MIA. I made myself a nice big glass of green tea, but I thought the water had been cooked and it's not. So I'm guess I got a tap water tea. No problem. In the rearview mirror, of course, if you're one of those traders, I really admire you if you can do that. If you can figure out how to get paid for rearview mirror trading, somebody please tell me. Call me. If you knew that you just shorted that pop and you're out there right down there. So what a beautiful trade. 10 handles. 12 handles. And I'm sure somebody will say they did that. And probably they did, but what a stroke of luck, I guess. Now, if I had to think about it, let me see how the magic man would go. Okay, there's 30. Ooh, or 30. That's 30 seconds, isn't it? Yeah. So that's 30 seconds. Wow. I did that the wrong way. Never mind. Did it wrong. There's a way that I can do that where I can put the mouse and then I think do it and it squinches out there. What I was looking for was a 30-second orb, right? So, for example, Magic plops his 30-second orb out here, and if it below it he's short and above it he's high. So if in this case, wherever 30 seconds was, it'd have been short. Well, I guess it would have been a reasonable trade. 6 points or something. And I don't know his trade management. I mean, Oh, excuse me, maybe he puts his stop over the high, and then he's still in the trade. Oh, who knows? I don't know. No, he doesn't. I just know he seems to be successful and usually gets paid and then has a few runners laying around, and that's all sounds pretty good. Pretty good to me. This is just okay. What's happening over here? Well, we're still just in this one. We've still got the high in first. We're doing the dipsy doodle right around here. 13 points, no big change. Nothing to add over here yet because we don't have any closing ending zone for quite a while. The high was put in first, so the IB low would be only 50%. That's until we put this closing zone, and that could go the other way if the closing zone stays up at the top. Assuming, in the off chance that a trade materializes tonight, I normally never have P&L or money, anywhere around. However, I've had to change this P&L to money from ticks when I'm working with the hedge, because I have two separate instruments with two separate, I have the E-mini and I have the E-mini, the micro E-mini. So points doesn't do me any good, or ticks doesn't do me any good, because I have to multiply by 10 and do all kinds of math in my head, which doesn't work out very well for me when I'm trying to manage the hedge legs. But if everybody's in dollars, I can see quickly, because dollars are compensated, P&L is compensated for the number of whatever the price of the underlying is of the unit, whether it's a micro or a mini. So I can see if it says it's 100 over here and 200 short over here, that means I know I got a net drawdown of 100. You know what I mean? So that's what I have to do. I can change it back because I'm not doing that hedge thing now, but and the way you do that, by the way, if you're interested, first of all, you can set these to be here or not. You don't have to have these visible at all. And if you want to set these variables to different stuff, you can right click on, see where it says realize P&L, and then you can go to configure, and there's all the different stuff you can do. Currency, ticks, points, account balance. That would be interesting. Maybe. And this is where you turn off or on any of them. So if I want to change this back to ticks, I can just do that. Hold on, I gotta see what the boss is. No. Okay, great. This is good. I could help. Mom in the kitchen there for a little bit while this is ticking over, because she's making us a nice big dinner. I think Wagyu ribeye, I think. Ooh. Okay, got the music on, got everything going. So now they're getting the levels all stacked up on top of each other here, so it's even more obstacles to get through. Remember, this is the night before a big holiday, and maybe I'm the only goofball doing this. That's entirely a possibility. Oh, still got 20 minutes. Never mind. Put her back on mute. I'm busy talking on the mute. Sorry about that. Well, anyway, I was talking about the ending zones. I'll do it again. Oh boy. Well, I hope you're having fun. I hope you're doing something with your family or your whoever it is that you do enjoyable stuff with. And that you're safe and in a comfortable environment. And yeah, a lot of people in this world much less fortunate than we are, I suppose. I'm sure. Now, of course, we're going to be... Dinner will just hit the table at the top of the hour, I'm sure. And I will, of course, go there. All right, I can smell the steak, so I'm going to have to hit for the door. We've got 12 minutes here. I'll drop back by and make sure we've got the ending zone in and everything's in place, and then we'll see how this materializes. I've got to do, two things at once. Couple minutes left, and it looks like they're going to be off the bottom. That will be so the ending zone should be in the 25%, 0 to 25, assuming it sticks down here, and then we'll see what happens. I've been on mute this whole time, I guess. So what I'm saying here is that we have a completely reverse situation, and I'm sure that it's based on news. Here we were, and there we are in 2 moves. I don't think that that's normal price action. That doesn't look to me like normal price action, except that it is extremely light volatility. So, you know, somebody with 25 cents and a couple of baseball cards can probably push the market that far. Given the data, completely backwards. There's a 60% probability we're going to break the low and a 20% probability we break the high. Sure, there's a probability that we did that, and we just did. Retracement to the 25, to the 50. As far as I'm concerned, this night's a wash. I'll let this stuff run until, I mean, there's no way I'm trading this mess. So there you go. Have a great holiday. Get up, shut your stuff off. Go do something, whatever it is. Go do something with your family. Go do something with whatever you do. Away from the screens. I will have the stuff will be running overnight and through the morning, and I'll shut it off tomorrow sometime. Not the stream, but my price levels and my data. Yeah, it's irritating. And that is obviously as the nose on your face. The news. Blind Mel and Chitlin made up another, you know. We just you know, whatever. He's solved the world's problems, or he's, you know, whatever it is. All right, well, I'm going to be, I'll be on the side here. We'll see what happens. Well, that was about one freaking waste of time, huh? Boom, bam, crash, and up we went. Based on what? Asia sort of seems to do that, but I'm over it. I don't think I'll I at least haven't had a good experience here. You know, I've had one trade out of 5 weeks that was set up exactly by the data, not just some winging it, gunslinging it kind of deal. And what is this about today? I have no idea. Hey, Panda. Hi, Panda. Hi, how are you? Huh? What's the most beautifulest panda kitty in the whole wide world? How are you? Hmm? And I'm certainly not going to be looking for some sort of a retest or pull back off of this, right? So that's just, I'm going to wrap her up here at the bottom of the hour. Have a great holiday. If I hope you're not trading. Tomorrow is a ridiculous day. If you thought tonight was weird, tomorrow is going to be 6 times weird. And there's going to be, POTUS is going to be talking at 9 o'clock in the morning on top of everything else. So, you know, shut your screens off. Go do whatever it is you do to have fun and relax and enjoy yourself. Happy 4th of July. Happy 4th of July, 250 years of America. Let's hope it lasts. I'd say it's a coin flip right about now, but let's hope it lasts. Have a great night. I'm going to call it here. If there's anything I can do or say, or anybody wants to know anything, let me know now or forever hold your peace. Magic, if you're floating around out there, I hope you're having a great night and have a great holiday. I'm going to